that you will reside? What's your direction in life? And finally, where is your final destination? So these two little questions can be answered a lot of different ways. Example, life has three parts. And most of us, we don't think of it like this, but this is what it is. Life has three parts, and for every part there's a ticket. And it's not no round-trip ticket, so I don't know if anybody's thinking here that life is a round-trip ticket. You're wrong. There's no round-trip here. It's one way. Now, if there is some round-trip ticket, the only person probably knows is Walt Disney or Steven Spielberg. But nobody came back from the final end of that ticket and told us that they're on the round trip, the return, they call it. So when you were in the womb of your mother, prior to being born, you had cognizance, but you didn't have will. You were not fully formed, and you didn't arrive here yet. But you were a passenger. Then when you were born, you came here. You arrived. And one part of the ticket was torn up. It's gone. You're never returning back there again, and most of us, we don't want to. And so, your sojourn, my sojourn on this earth, be it 15 or 35 or 45 or 55 or 65 or 85, whatever amount of years it is. A year is only 365 days, or a leap year, 366, 52 weeks, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 60 minutes an hour, 60 seconds a minute. That's all you've got. That's the second part of the ticket. Until the end, we call it death. A word that most of us, we don't want to really be using, especially when it applies to us. We don't want to be using the word death when it applies to us, especially if we're thinking that it's going to be soon. So the life is set up in such a way, and society is set up in such a way to push this whole idea of death way off, and make us think that we got a long time until it's right upon us. Then it's called like shock, trauma. But it was a reality that was looming all the time. And at the end, when we die and we pass on out of this life that we experienced, another ticket is torn up, no return. Two parts gone. Then you're entering another part of the ticket. That part of the ticket takes you into the grave, another womb. But this womb is not like the womb that you was in before. Where, again, you have no will. You have no more choices. But you are fully formed, fully packaged, and ready for a final determination. See? Now, most of us may think about this from a very philosophical point of view. We may think about it from a very abstract point of view. But death is not philosophical, and death is not abstract. Death is a blatant reality that if you ponder on it, it'll help you prepare yourself for it. But if you don't ponder on it, it comes certain and it comes sudden. And there's no trauma like death. None. But entering the grave, most of us would think to ourselves that when we die, what does it matter? So what? I'm gone. I'm blown up, turned to dust. That's it. I'm out of here. But that's not true. You had consciousness when you were in your mother's womb. You were eating with her, and you were drinking with her, and you were listening with her, and you were traveling with her, and you were going through all the experiences that your mother was going through, but you didn't know that. And when you die, your nails continue to grow, and your hair continues to grow, and the body still has experiences. For if something is growing, it means there's life is still there. but your consciousness is dormant. You can't reach out. You can't speak out. You can't change or alter anything. And you can't communicate because now there's a wall that you can't see. That's life on one side and death on the other. See? Now that's a reality that we need to ponder on, and divine revelation, that is communication that the Creator has given to human beings, made accessible to human beings through the vehicle of prophecy, have expounded upon this. Those who have the benefit of reading that revelation are the ones who have the greatest apprehension, greatest connection, greatest understanding and sensitivity about this looming reality called death and the grave. Nevertheless, those three parts of life, it is a trip. You know, young boys in the street listening to that hip hop, they say, man, you a trip. You heard that terminology, right? He's a trip. It's a terminology, it's a trip. That means something that's unknown, something that's difficult, something that's complex. Life is that way unless you have some guidance. Any highway in this country, if you took down all the signs, how would you get where you're going? If you didn't have no sat-nav and there was no signs on the road, how would you get where you're going on that trip? Life is like that. Almighty God has given to the human beings, the Creator has put the human beings on this earth, in this environment, for this trip, but He gave us an inborn sat-nav. Signs on the road. Divine revelation. The vehicle of prophecy. Warning signs. Determinations for people who reflect. The creation, that is the evolutionary development, and the bringing into existence of the human being. Man is made up of water and earth substance. Man is formed from spermatic fluid and the mixing with eggs produced during the ovulation period of the female. Then there's the embryo, and then there's the fetus, and then there's the gradual formation of the cerebral brain and the heart and the body and the bones and the covering and the flesh and the lungs and the nervous system and the endocrine system, the eyes, the nose, the ears, the hands, and the feet, and then the reproductive organs, the hair and the nails. Yet all of this is of no consequence without a spirit. No spirit, no life. Because the spirit, the ruh in Arabic, is what endows, is what empowers this creature to have its own distinct will, personality. The existence, the placing, the determination of some phenomenal authority outside of time and space is what would be needed to bring all of that about. For if human beings themselves, if they were the authors of their own creation, they wouldn't have any questions. They would know all the parameters and they would have all the answers. But we don't. A sophisticated university, institution like this, it probably has, I don't know how many books you have in your library, but according to what I understand, every university in the world must have a minimum of a certain amount of books in their library for it to be a university. Because it is the books in that library and the access to it that gives that institution the right to call itself a university, because it has inside of it the access to universal knowledge. But all that information that's in those libraries, it came from somewhere, through some things, through some persons, from their observation of some things. And some of those things are near and some of those things are far. And those things that are far, some of them are computed. Some of those are imagined.